Welcome back everybody to the 7th episode of Quickfire Crypto, where we keep you informed on a bi-daily basis. If you're interested in keeping up to date on all things crypto, then subscribe to the channel. We put out a new video every 12 hours. So, today's article comes from Crypto News, and it's on the Bitcoin scaling problem. And so their article is titled "How to Solve the Bitcoin Scaling Problem." So let's get straight into it. It starts off by saying Bitcoin had just a handful of users on its network in the early days, and the number of transactions processed was relatively low. However, scaling issues started as the network expanded, attracting significant numbers of transactions, users, and miners. On the other hand, if you are about to start trading Bitcoin, you may use a hassle-free platform like Bitcoin Motion to avoid problems in your trading transactions. The Bitcoin blockchain can currently process just about 7 to 10 transactions per second. That is insufficient to host all transactions in a world of more than 8 billion people. Early Bitcoin adopters were the first to identify the potential scaling problem, and many have raised suggestions on how to address it. So how can Bitcoin solve the scalability issue? Now, for those of you that don't know, Bitcoin runs on a technology called blockchain. And blockchain has what is known as the scalability trilemma, and that is to say, if you can imagine a triangle, and at each point of the triangle is an issue, one being scalability, another one being decentralization, and the other being security. And the scalability trilemma for blockchain is that you have to pick two. So you can either have security and decentralization, or you can have security and scalability, or scalability and decentralization. You cannot have all three. And this goes back to kind of the iron triangle of service. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of that. And that's where any service provider, has to either have something good and fast, or fast and cheap, or cheap and good. It cannot have all three, so you'll never find a service that has all three of those attributes. So let's see what else they have to say about this. Bitcoin serves as a digital token and a distributed network. The tokens are exchanged between users while the network processes and tracks the history of those transactions using a blockchain ledger. However, users can transfer Bitcoin outside the blockchain via other protocols and networks. That allows Bitcoin to scale and host the enormous payment threshold required to become a dominant global means of payment. While many proposals have come up on how to solve Bitcoin's scalability problem, two ways currently seem as the most viable and efficient. The first method is by upgrading the blockchain to handle more transaction volumes. I would imagine that's doubling the block size, which for those of you that were around in 2017 is what Bitcoin Cash did. And we had the blockchain wars just before that. Innovators can also create additional networks known as layers to allow the transfer of Bitcoin directly without using the blockchain. Now this reminds me of Lightning. I'm thinking Bitcoin uses the Lightning network, and that's their layer 2 scaling solution, and it's essentially off-chain payment network that settles payments off-chain. It then bundles them up into one transaction and then puts that onto the Bitcoin blockchain, essentially making it quicker and more efficient to use. They go on to say Bitcoin's blockchain can only process 7 to 10 transactions per second because block creation takes an average of 10 minutes. Besides, every block has a specific limit of transactions it can hold. The duration of creating new Bitcoin blocks was established during Bitcoin's development and is not likely to change. However, the size of blocks has changed many times. Satoshi Nakamoto, who was the anonymous creator of Bitcoin, established a rule that blocks should not exceed 1 megabyte in 2010, although the Segwit upgrade introduced in 2017 raised the block size to 4 megabyte. Most Bitcoin blocks remain limited to about 1.3 megabytes. The Bitcoin network sets those limits to prevent the size of the blockchain from growing too rapidly. Thus, they are not likely to change in the future. That leaves most efforts towards scaling the Bitcoin network focused on reducing the data required in transactions. For instance, the Taproot upgrade offers more efficient transactions that take up less space in Bitcoin blocks. It goes on to say, layers are alternative networks to Bitcoin's blockchain that allow users to transfer Bitcoin. They allow Bitcoin blockchain transactions to represent or settle larger payment volumes in batches. Although layers connect to the blockchain, they do not broadcast every transaction to the network. That saves on fees and facilitates more rapid payment settlements. And now we're about to get into the Lightning Network. So, the Lightning Network is the most prominent layer on Bitcoin's blockchain. It enables micropayments and smaller daily transactions that are no longer economic on Bitcoin's network. It facilitates instantaneous and no-cost or almost free Bitcoin transfers between parties. Users open and close Lightning channels using regular Bitcoin transactions, and the blockchain, once a party opens a track, it can execute an infinite number of Lightning transactions. So what this article is trying to address is Bitcoin's scalability problem and the fact that Bitcoin on-chain can only ever process 6 to 10 transactions per second, and that's just not good enough. I know that MasterCard currently, at a busy period like Christmas when everybody's shopping, uses or can offer 27,000 transactions per second, which is huge. So for Bitcoin or for any cryptocurrency to be used or viable, it must achieve at least that. And so that's where a lot of Bitcoiners are hoping that the Lightning Network comes in, because that helps with that problem and eases congestion on the Bitcoin network. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll keep on top of it. So remember, everybody, to subscribe to the channel, join our team. We'll keep you updated on all things crypto every 12 hours. Smash that like button if you feel you got value from this video, and I'll see you all in 12 hours.